What's going on, guys? What's good? What's poppin'? All that shit. Um, it's me, Thanos 42 62 92, whatever the fuck my number is. Back today with some Siege. Ignore the clips; they're really bad. Um, but so GTA, I know, wrong game. I don't really care. Um, GTA is doing the mansion update soon, so me and all my homeboys are doing a bunch of grinding to get that. It's stuff. A, we swear a lot. B, like they're both comfortable with me streaming, but like at the same time, like I don't want me being online and doing stuff with some of my friends to just turn into content and that to always be on my mind. So I'm like I'll stream some of it, but like and record some of it, but realistically, and not a lot of it's going to be streamed unless and like I'll probably end up recording a good portion of it just for background noise, and I run OBS anyway to run my PlayStation because yeah, um, and like background footage, but I don't feel like streaming all of it because it takes away from not necessarily takes away from the enjoyment, but it it feels almost wrong to me to sit there and record and stream and have to pay attention not only to the missions, which I am not very good at GTA, um, like at all. They are both by far better than me, by like a good portion. So a lot of that I don't feel like streaming, and y'all witnessing my failures. Some of it I will stream, and some of it I will record. But a lot of that's gonna be me doing stuff solo. So preps for KO. Like if I don't work that day and they both do, and I shoot them or they DM me like, hey, get a KO prep. We want to run one of those tonight. Cool. I'll go run the preps. I'll stream all that shit. But and like me fucking around a GTA solo because I do that a lot. I sell really hard here. I could have had all three of them dead if I actually knew how to hit my shots. But like it does feel really wrong to me to sit there and stream every moment, and I don't want that to be my life. I don't want that to be like how I do content, because I still do want to have fuck around nights with the boys. I still do want to have these times, these like this time where because I game to relax. And recently, like literally 10 minutes ago, I realized I wholeheartedly don't like gaming that much. It's I live 3.5 hours south of most of the friends I went to high school with, most of the people I call family, most of the people I call my friends, and like that are my friends and family. I live a lot very far south of them, and so a lot of it's I game to be able to shoot the shit with them, to be able to talk to them, and like I think that's part of the reason. Like with Siege, if you watch my streams, if you watch like VODs or like any of that, I take them seriously. Or at least I try to, and I get like Siege especially. Siege pisses me off, but I think a lot of it is like in my real life, in my like outside of gaming, I am a very calm person. I am a very like I don't get angry very easily. I don't and it's not even anger. I would say it's more frustration, A, from my lack of skill and knowing that, and like, skill issue. Yeah, it is. I'm aware of that. I don't know why I didn't get immediately fucking bum rushed there, but it is what it is. But a lot of it's I grew up in rough environments. I grew up in areas where, you couldn't be that angry person. You had to remain calm and collected. You had to maintain that calm head, cool head. And I picked that up very quickly from a young age. I mean, shit, I was 6 years old, 5 years old, getting into fights on the playground, and then up until third grade, I got into a fight. I had been in and out of, and I think I've said this before. I've told this story before, but I had been in and out of a, he wasn't our, because it was an elementary school. He was like a police liaison, but he wasn't a police liaison. He was security, kind of. But he was also there to help the kids and talk to the kids. And Um, like I had been in and out of the office all year, and he sat me down. He's like, "You can't keep doing this shit," and brought in a uniformed officer. They handcuffed me and brought me into the cop car, and we drove around for 20 minutes. They had told me I was going to juvie. Straight up. I was, what, 8, 9 years old, dealing with all of the shit I was going through that I don't want to rehash. And, you know, me thinking I had just fucked up my life because going to juvie at 8 years old, 9 years old, however the fuck old I was, that's a really big deal. And they drove me around the block. They drove me around for like 20 minutes, dropped me back after school, unhandcuffed me, and was like, "Cool, stop getting into fights." And I got into a couple more fights that year, and then that summer, I I wouldn't say I got a hold of my anger. That didn't come until later in life, but I was at the point where I was starting to realize that I can't be angry all the time, and that I can't control other people, and that I am the one in hold of my own actions. And that was like the breakaway point for me, to the point where I realized I can't be this angry child. And I started, and then when I hit by middle school, I was weird. I was a weird ass kid. I will be the first person to admit that. I was a weird fucking kid. Wholeheartedly. I was emo in middle school. I was wanted to wear nothing but black, to the point where most of my wardrobe is still black, but now I'm blaming that on the autism. Well, not blaming, but like saying hyperfixation on a certain color. For me, it's black and gray, a lot of black. Um, and but at 15, I got put back into placement, and I had gotten adopted at the age of 12 after spending 4 or 5 years. I spent 4 or 5 years bouncing in and out of foster homes, bouncing all over my state. And I saw some gruesome shit. I dealt with a lot of shit when I was doing that. But ultimately, I like to think it made me a better person. And like even now, the growth that like me and my best friend were talking. I lived with him for 9 months. He is not just my best friend. He is family. I know all of his family. We routinely talk, and I love that motherfucker to death. And even he um said, "You've changed since middle school. You've Because we were friends in seventh grade. Um, Eighth grade, I switched up, not on him, but like I changed, and I was angrier. I was again now dealing with shit again. My parents had just threatened me to go back into a group home, and so I was dealing with that. And by freshman year, COVID year, and then COVID hit. Um, COVID hit, and so suddenly I lost. It hit that spring. We were told 2 weeks off, and then turned into a what 2 year pandemic. I mean, like and then during that time, during the pandemic, I got put back into placement. I ended up in a group home up where I lived. I ended up spending 2 to 3 months at one on a farm. I got to interact with horses every day. I got to I grew up with horses. I grew up riding. I love horses to death. It's what I want to like actually do with my life, is horse ranch. That is like my end goal, is buy like 150 acre farm, turn it into a ranch, get horses, get goats, get sheep. Um, Rufus, could scratch on my walls, buddy. And all of that, and then but like I ended up at this farm, and um we had 4 or 5 horses. There was an alpaca, there was ducks, there was uh chickens, there was goats. It was a really cool place, especially for a kid going through foster care and that had already been through foster care. And that calmed me down a lot. And then I ended up at the other group home, the one where I stayed at until I was 18 and moved in with my best friend. Um, and we that one really helped a lot. I had and still have a lot of really positive role models from that, and that is ultimately what made me fully realize that, hey, you're angry, I get it, but you need to find better coping mechanisms. This is also when I started smoking pot. So around freshman sophomore year, I started smoking really heavily, and that ended up being what helped me. I'm not going to lie to you and say that pot ruined me. Pot did all of this. Pot helped me mellow out. Pot helped me towards the end of my smoking. It was more to help me sleep more than anything. And yeah, like I was a stupid teenager. I was doing stupid shit. Um, but a lot of it was, yes, I'm sitting here smoking. Yes, I'm doing all of this, but at the same time, I am working on a better version of myself, and I am trying to grow. And I interacted with a lot of different kids. The first house I was at, we had a max of 6 kids, and it was routinely filled. Second house I was at, same group home, or same parent company, same staff, different place. It was, and a lot of that ended up being, um, well, it sucked at the time, and I definitely do have some PTSD from it. And like stuff I'm still trying to work through, and trauma that I'm still trying to work through from it. It did ultimately make me a better person. I ended up with better role models. Um, I learned a lot of healthier coping mechanisms that I still use now, and all of that. To that end, um, I sorry, shit happens in between recording. So I kind of lost my train of thought, but and some of the staff, like I'll go up north still because most of my family's up there, all of my friends are up there. I'll go up there, see them, and like randomly walk into a store and be walking around, wandering, doing the aimless shit that even at 19 is entertaining. I mean, small town, that's what you do in the Midwest. You just go to walk around Walmart or Target, and we um like I'll run into staff, say hi, talk to them for a little bit, and then go on about my day. Um, I moved out rather suddenly, and part of me regrets that at the same time, wholeheartedly. I would not have gotten the experience that I got, and I would not have found the people I call family had I not moved out when I did. Um, and seeing that impact me for the better, um, and seeing the way that like these people have molded me and helped me change as a person and helped me become who I am, I think has been really helpful. And I'm, and I said this last video too, I am excited to grow. I am excited of the future because I'm going to be honest, wholeheartedly, I did not think I would live to see 16, let alone 19, almost 20. Um, like, like, I had plans like most kids do, um, but I was very depressed. There was a lot of thoughts of ending it, a lot of apprehension about my future. For instance, from the age of 4 to the age of 12, military. That was my goal. I wanted to be an Air Force pilot. And then I turned 10 and got glasses, so immediately I switched. I'm like, okay, I can't fly fighter jets. I want to make them. And then as I got into high school, I did research on that, and I realized I do not have the academic prowess, not intelligence, the ability to learn in that rigid of an environment to go to the kind of school I would need and want to go to get the skills to become a that kind of mechanic. And so by junior year, it switched again. By the end of junior year, I had applied to a local community college that was doing law enforcement degrees. Because that was my goal throughout elementary school, throughout middle school, throughout high school was my mom is a high school, college graduate. I am the first high school graduate. I am the first one to go through more than a semester of college. Albeit, I went through about a semester and a half before I dropped out. But um, part of that is I am not a good learner in those kinds of environments. I do not like being forced to learn, and like I have to want to learn it, if that makes sense. Like it's not, oh, I don't want to learn this, I'm not going to. It has to be mentally stimulating, and it has to be something that I find actual interest in order to even attempt to learn it. And there's a lot of things that don't happen with that. That's like I sucked in school. I graduated high school with a 2.1, I think. 2.1, 2.2. And I was almost valedictorian, but that was because I was in special ed classes because I was struggling so much with not only school, but with my home life, with the group home, with all of that. And because of that, it it did truly change how like I did not learn the skills necessary to go to college. And I've talked to some of my teachers, and they told me, grow up a little bit, and like, oh my god, you're 19, you should be an adult already. For the most part, I am. I work full time. I like, I help out around the house. I pay rent. I pay my own phone bill. I do all of that. Um, but I like talking to some of my old teachers, talking to some of my grandmother's friends who used to be teachers. They told me straight up, calm down. Wait till you're like 23 or 24. Wait for your life to calm down, and then go back. Because part of it is I have been in this fight or flight. It has been stressful situation after stressful situation after stressful situation my entire life. And so a large part of me is still in that, okay, we need to be ready to move in an instant. We need to be ready to do all these things as soon as possible. And that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you all for coming in. Drink some water, eat some grass. Don't eat grass.